All right, guys. My name is Bravo Fox, and this is going to be my first YouTube video. It's a little unorganized. I'm not going to be running through a whole lot of scripts. If I start to get a little bit more of a following, I'll definitely organize my videos a little bit better. But I just wanted to get a few things out. I'm happy with WoW. I don't think they're quite going in the right direction. But I feel like if I were a developer for WoW, I would have definitely taken WoW a different in a different path. And I think that WoW is still salvageable. I mean, we've had quite a drop in subscribers since Wrath of the Lich King. At Wrath of the Lich King, there was a peak of about 12 million subscribers, and it's estimated we're down to between 2 to 4 million. In some cases, less than 2 million who are active at any given time, which is crazy. And I'm trying to get down to the bottom of it, trying to figure out why that is an actual issue. And what I discovered is that it's most likely not due to the content, not due to the fact that there's dry spells, the end game. What it really comes down to is community. WoW is missing the community that it once had. And I think that's the reason why so many people are so excited about classic WoW. They're not excited about the grind from 1 to 60. I mean, that was awful. I played vanilla WoW. I played a little bit of Burning Crusade. I played a hell of a lot of Wrath of the Lich King. And when Cataclysm came out, I played about a month of Cataclysm, and it was definitely a cataclysm to the game because that was the beginning of the end of WoW. Now, a lot of you are going to say, well, WoW's not dying. WoW's not dying. Well, 12 million subscribers down to 4 million or even less. I mean, that's slowly dying. It's definitely not where it used to be. And some people have their own theories when it comes to it. Some people say it's the fact that the content is dry. They're focusing too much on endgame rather than the here and now kind of thing. And Blizzard has been constantly adding more content, like artifact power, just a constant grind. To keep people playing. It's an artificial way to keep subscribers going. But if they really want to fix the game, they need to focus on the community, bring the community back together. Because if you look at games like Overwatch, which is a Blizzard game, obviously, if you look at some of the other, I guess you could call MMOs, their communities are absolute garbage. They're toxic. Everyone flames each other. I mean, just go to the WoW forums. If someone has an opinion, you have 10 more people sitting there saying the complete opposite. I mean, how many of them are actually trolls? How many of them are actually serious with their disagreements? I mean, either way, you have this community of people who are just constantly rude to each other. I got into an argument with somebody on YouTube today about there not being enough content in WoW. I never said that there wasn't enough content. I said there wasn't enough quality content to keep people going. And he was basically saying, well, you should be doing transmogs or you should be chasing achievements. Well, in vanilla WoW, they didn't have transmogs. They didn't have achievements. But yet there were still growing in subscribers on a massive level, and the content never really got old. There was always something to do, whether it be trying to push through Nax. I mean, some guilds were trying to push through Molten Core still when Nax was a thing. I mean, it was difficult content, and bringing 40 people together to push through that content was a feat in itself. And that's what I mean. We need a community again. And you could, if you may have listened to the keynotes that Blizzard pushed out with the Battle of Azeroth announcement, They talked about adding communities, kind of like how they have in Diablo, where you have your guild and then you have your communities. Well, I think that may be a step in the right direction, but you, what made WoW great when it came to vanilla was the fact that the game was in such a poor state. And what I mean by that, it was very inconvenient for the player. The player had to run everywhere. They had to rely on, possibly having a warlock to summon people. I mean, if you had a warlock in your group and you sent him and two other people to the instance and had one person stay and get that healer that you've been missing, or getting that tank that you've been missing, and then you have the warlock and the two people summon you, that was a community effort. You had to find those people, and looking for group, which was /4, the looking for group chat. There was no dungeon finder, there was no raid finder, there was no looking for group tab that we have now. It was literally walking into Ironforge or walking into Orgrimmar and just typing /4 and saying looking for one member healer, and then sitting there for 5-10 minutes until a healer finally answered. Now, is that inconvenient? Absolutely, but that's what brought the community together. You made friends. You made friends with other healers. You made friends with tanks. DPS were definitely the first people that wanted to be a friend with a healer, because if that healer logged on, he saw him log on, he invited him to a group, and then they started a UBRS, or they started a strat, like a Scarlet Strat or an Undead Strat or something like that. And bringing people together is what made WoW great. They were part of a community outside of real life. It was a way to escape from some of the hardships that people had to deal with. But WoW today is nothing like that. WoW today, if you're not a raider, you don't have to know anybody. I mean, I've been in guilds, like casual guilds on some of my alts, who they don't even talk to each other. In my guild that I was in Legion, we had 25 people who would raid, and then we would have little small cliques, and those cliques would go out and do mythic pluses and mythic dungeons and things like that. But the community, like even in the guilds, was lacking, and that is what I believe needs to be fixed. So I'm going to be starting a series on my channel, and that series is going to be called If I Was a WoW Developer, and it will have different topics. It will focus mainly on community, because as a WoW developer, or if I was, I should say, the first question I would make with every decision is, how does this affect the community? How does this affect the interaction between players? If it's negative, I will weigh and see how negative it is. You have to outweigh, the positives and the negatives. If it's more positive than negative, you can make that change. Looking for group, as in Dungeon Finder, great idea on paper. Make it more convenient for the player to log on, quickly find a group, and then drive on. But that hurts the community as a whole. You no longer have to communicate with people. You no longer have to make friends. You press a button, and then 2-3 minutes later, in some cases 20 minutes, just depending on the servers, you were in a group. You never had to talk to anybody. You get in that group, and most of the time people don't even say anything to each other as soon as they get into the dungeon. They run the dungeon, they get the rewards, they exit the group, and they rinse and repeat. They never have to talk to anybody. And that is one of the main problems, is that the community isn't being thought of as bringing people together. They're creating artificial things to bring the communities together. And what they need to do is revert back some of those decisions, possibly, and just see how it goes. WoW itself was WoW itself was a complete, like, I'm trying to think of the word, but it was a complete risk. It was an experiment within itself. It never been done. It's never been done. I mean, they had Ultima Online and some other MMOs, but nothing at the caliber and level of World of Warcraft. And that's what made Warcraft as popular and great as it was. There was no one who took the risk to put that much money, effort, time, love, passion into a game without even knowing that the consumer would actually enjoy it. It was a huge gamble, and it ended up being one of the greatest games in history that still holds some records. So I'm just going to go ahead and end it here. But if you're interested in what I have to say about some of the changes that I would make, I mean, I'm gonna try to tackle um, subjects like flying, looking for raid, looking for dungeons, what I would do um, to save WoW in its current state. I mean, technically, WoW doesn't need saving; it will always be there. People will always come back for the expansions. But what would make, you know, what would make WoW great again? And I believe that with a proper discussion and kind of getting other points of view across and out, and I believe that we can actually make a difference, and hope that Blizzard takes that risk again. I mean, even if it's experimental, not a set in stone kind of thing, just to see how things would go. So, as I said before, if you're interested in what I have to say about this subject, about what we can do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that like button so I know that you like the message. And let's go ahead and start a discussion about how to make WoW great again. And my name's Bravo Fox. I'm going to throw in a shameless plug. I do stream. I'll have the link down below in the description. And I try to stream every day, typically 3 to 4 hours. Sometimes I'm on much, much later. So feel free to stop by. I stream a bunch of different various games, Destiny, League of Legends, WoW, things like that. But like I said, if you're interested, hit that subscribe button and let's have a discussion. Bravo Fox out.